we got a couple inches of like
kind of gooky.
we got a couple inches of poofy snow last night.
Clean this table off.
Yeah, it did nothing. It just blows on.
So I was listening to my headphones, just minding my own business. And some guy came to me, tapped me on the shoulder, I go, "Hey, Bob, you want to hear an MP3 file?"
That's kind of what you got. Creepers in your room?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And I'm like, "No, not really, man. But give it to me. Let's lay it on me. Let's give it a try." Right?
You never heard an MP3 before?
Yeah. So well, I did. But I don't know I don't know how often I play them on our headphones. Like, I remember years ago playing MP3s because I don't know why. I guess that's all we had laying around.
Well, it's kind of the common format.
Yeah.
It was the first widely spread digital audio format.
Yeah.
So if you had digital
That's
audio,
true.
it probably was an MP3 because you couldn't really buy high res.
Yeah. Right.
That's a more modern occurrence.
Yeah. Download speeds were kind of slow too, I guess, at the time.
And storage capacity.
And there was no streaming,
right.
really.
There was nowhere
you
to put
couldn't
it.
do high quality streaming like you can now.
Yeah. Most people probably had like 500 megabyte hard drives or something like that.
Bigger than that.
They weren't terabyte.
No.
Let's just say that.
Right. Well, the early flash-based music players typically only played a very limited amount of formats, and the flash was very, very expensive. So your first MP3 player, flash media player, portable player thing, what was that, 32 meg?
32 meg.
I had a 16,
Sounds like a lot.
and I expanded it with
That's
a
a lot.
16 megabyte butterfly media flash card.
Yeah.
Butterfly.
I expanded mine with
Yeah.
32 more meg.
It's
Yeah.
a format
It's
that no longer
64 meg.
exists.
Yeah.
So it was 32 megabytes.
I never had an MP3 player.
Oh.
I probably tried yours.
Yeah.
I guess,
think I played
probably.
them on a computer or something.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But storage was a problem back then.
It was a
Yeah.
problem.
So you're actually looking for specifically small MP3s.
I remember
Yes.
trying to put MP3s on a disc to play in a car we got that had a CD player.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Like the first time I got a car with a CD player in it, and you tried to put like other than a CD, and you tried to burn your own files.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it didn't like too many things to play with. Like I think the only thing it saw was MP3s. And
I remember that
That
was
was a
a
project.
thing. My second CD player, I got a portable CD player. It played MP3s on CDs. So you could put like 600 MP3s or whatever on a
Yeah.
CD because it's 700 megabytes.
yeah,
And that was some innovation for the day because Flash was still very expensive.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard to pick songs though because there's still
Right.
like next. So 600 songs.
That was
going.
messy on a
Yeah,
portable device like
wasn't
that with
great.
a crummy little screen.
and once you burn that CD, it was game
That's
over.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, CDs were cheap.
Yeah.
Still are.
Well, were
if
they?
anybody,
They
yeah.
weren't that expensive back in the
Yeah,
day.
buck a
piece or
Maybe a
something like
quarter
that.
or something like
Yeah.
that, 50 cents.
The burnables
When
I
you get
thought
the
were more
100
than that.
The 100 packs.
You get the big 100
right,
pack
that's
of the
right. I
unlabeled
forgot
ones.
about that.
They
Yeah.
were very
Yeah, they
economical.
were
They're
pretty
just
shit.
shrunk wrap.
Yeah.
They didn't have like
Yeah.
a label on it.
Yeah, right. They didn't hold up real well
It was
either.
a Comp USA.
No, you get them wet and the stuff comes off.
Yeah, they were pretty
It
brutal.
was a thing. I remember Ryan had some that he kept in like the
Door
side
pocket?
door pocket
Yeah,
thing or
and they're
whatever in
all
his
just
car.
falling apart.
Yeah, and they would get water on them or whatever. You roll down
Yeah.
the window and
You
snow
bend
comes
them a
in or
little bit,
something.
and the layer
they
just
fall
cracks.
apart. Yeah, it's like a week and they just totally
Yeah,
degrade.
you got what you paid for. So you had to get the gold archival ones, that were probably
Yeah, way
$4 or
more.
$5 a
Yeah.
piece or something like that. You got to get them in a 5-pack or something.
But they were cheap enough. You just leave it in the player. It's fine
Yeah.
for the most part.
Well, now that we brought back memories on everybody with
Yeah.
how it was back in the day with trying to port with portable audio. With MP3s, let's talk about the quality of it because there tends to be people that argue back and forth that,
You can't tell the difference.
yeah, right.
I was on.
Or at least they can't.
We talked about this a little bit before.
I get it though. Some people
Little bit.
can't.
But I spent a fair bit of time online discussing the merits of various audio formats many years ago. And
Many years ago.
many years ago.
This was before
before.
pre-YouTube.
Well, it was before YouTube was mainstream. So I would say 12 to 14 years ago when, it was when I spent a majority of my internet time on audio forums.
Oh, didn't know you were there.
Yeah,
You must have had an alias,
of course.
Marshmallow One or something.
Marshmallow one. That's it. You got it. You got it.
High Top. I don't know. I can't come up with a good one after that. High Top. Isn't that a hat? High Top.
Well, anyways,
Yeah.
it turns out this is a pretty heated discussion for most. People have very strong opinions on it. And they always say, oh, it's such a waste of space, or it's ridiculous, it's absurd, excessive to have anything other than a V0 MP3, because that's as good as it gets. V0 being a variable bit rate, 0 being the highest quality for that particular encoder. And typically there's very specific requirements for how you need to encode your music to get the best quality, and people always had rules, regulations about this and whatnot if you were hanging out on private music trackers. And there was a big discussion between CBR 320 and V0. The difference between them being variable
Whatever
bit
that
rate and constant bit rate.
Right.
Oh,
Right, both of them being effectively the highest quality,
yeah.
practical.
Oh,
for an
people were
MP3
really narrowing
format.
that down, huh? Between those two.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people. There was, if you look at the private music trackers back in the day, there was a few formats typically readily available. You usually had V0, the highest quality variable bit rate, V2, a slightly worse quality variable bit rate, CBR 320, constant bit rate, 320 kilobit, and CBR 192 was also sometimes used.
Well, that sounds fancy.
Yeah, and there was big fights between people, these groups of people talking about how one had advantages over the other.
I'll bet.
And
The internet will be the internet.
yeah, of course, you can't tell the difference. I guarantee if you did a blind ABX comparison, there's no way you could tell.
I'm sure you look back on that, it probably looks a bit childish nowadays relative to the bandwidth we have.
It still kind of does, but yeah.
What you can, the
Especially
streaming
today,
today just
It doesn't
would kill
matter
most
now.
of those formats. Yeah.
Because the difference between these formats is so trivial in terms of file size that basically just get the biggest one. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, right.
If you want to do CBR or V0, whatever.
Yeah,
It doesn't even matter in file size anymore. But back then it did.
sure.
And there was a lot of people that did the comparison. They ran the little program, they did an A/B comparison, blind, of course, between the various formats, and more often than not, they couldn't tell the difference. Now, that's not to say that there wasn't a difference there, but on that particular gear, with that particular music, they couldn't reliably discern a difference between the formats. And I did this test myself, of course. And it's shocking. I think doing the test is beneficial because there's plenty of times where you may think you could tell the difference and you're fooling yourself. You can't reliably pick it up. You do this 20 times in a row and you only get it every now and then.
It is difficult, but with everything we found with music, the problem with blind testing or any of this A/B testing is that first thing you got to do is train yourself for what you're listening for.
Yeah,
You know,
kinda.
and I think in the long term, when you listen to music like this, when you're listening to it over and over again or various tracks, you start to appreciate a difference in quality between the higher resolution and MP3 or whatever, right? You just start to appreciate it over time for whatever reason. It just grows on you. It's kind of like trying better wine. You might not understand it at first, but then you start going back to the old wine, the $5 gallon jug you used to drink. You're like, oh, this stuff sucks, right? It tastes like vinegar or something like that. And it seemed perfectly
Kinda.
fine at the time, you know?
Well, I guess in more of audio terms, it's kind of like being used to vinyl, like growing up listening to vinyl, and then the switch over to digital in like the 80s and stuff, and you're probably like, oh, this isn't what I'm used to hearing.
Yeah, at first,
that
for
kind
sure.
of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, audio related example.
Well, that and there's in MP3, it's because there are all those formats. That's confusing as hell. Because most people don't know what the hell a format is. If they all did they all say they have a suffix MP3 for a file?
Yeah, of course. That's just
So
a
you
container.
didn't know whether it's variable or whatever unless you
It was in the
pulled up info
metadata,
on it.
yeah.
Yeah. So most people wouldn't know the difference. So that's where all this controversy comes from. It's a mixed bag of crap you're listening to.
Well, the
you have
biggest
no idea.
issue with MP3 is transcodes. If you're out just up in the open markets shopping for MP3s and you're obtaining these illegally, let's say, which of course
right.
at the day was pretty much the only way to get it. It was so uncommon to even be able to download music legally.
I'm sure that was all about making the smallest file size too.
A lot of that was. So you would see kind of two crowds. You would see people that think they're going for quality, and so they would encode it in a higher bit rate, CBR 320 or something. And the trouble is, a lot of times people didn't understand how that worked, and they would transcode. So they would download something, and they would say, oh, I want to standardize all my formats. And they would convert it to another format. But you convert it from one lossy format to another lossy format. And in the process, you lose more than you gain back.
Well, not only
of
that, the
course.
conversion software back then was pretty sketch.
Well, there's
a lot of times it was
There was a
Software,
lot of crappy
sure.
software going on.
There was plenty
you
of
know?
not stellar software.
And no one was running like, studio quality friggin' software.
Yeah, so
it was all free, probably free
mostly
downloads.
free, yeah. And some of it was junk, some of it were
Yeah.
great. But
Which-
that resulted in huge variation between quality.
And then you had people starting with MP3 files to begin with, and then they dumbed down the file size through some software to make another MP3.
Yeah, transcodes.
Yeah, which means you're basically starting with a shitty source and then just making it worse. So yeah, I mean, I would just remember back in the day, it was such a mixed bag of crap, and you can hear the artifacts on a lot of the stuff that you got for free.
Apparent.
You know, the free stuff was brutal. It was
Yeah,
like
I do
in the
recall
background of the fucking
having
music.
a few songs that were
You know?
like unlistenably bad.
Yeah, it was
But
like
then
voices.
I need to find a different MP3 version of this. You know, 'cause
Yeah.
this one's too bad.
Yeah, it was just bad.
That
bad,
one I
bad.
think most people could spot, especially with decent gear. You take like a 192 CBR MP3 and you transcode it to a V0. I could almost guarantee you the vast majority of people could discern that very reliably on a blind AB.
But what about today? I mean, are they still running MP3s on anything?
Well,
Are
Yeah,
people still actually buying these
kinda.
somewhere?
everybody just streams everything now. You know?
Yeah,
For the most part, it seems like the
kind of
leader is
history we're
iTunes.
talking about.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even as far back as like the original iPod, like that was like 10 gig in like 2003. So it already was kind of like that's a lot of music.
Yeah,
so you
right.
didn't really need to worry about like a few years before. When you do have 32 meg, you know, every meg counts, right?
Yeah.
But when you have 10 gig, that's a lot of songs
Yeah,
that you put on,
really.
so you're not as concerned. So
Yeah, more do you need to really carry and listen to it. You couldn't listen to
Yeah.
that much in
So-
a year, much less a day or a week.
So essentially, 20 years ago,
Yeah.
it already was possible to have whatever size file you wanted to carry around with you.
Well, I don't know if I'd say that. 20 years is a long time.
Yeah, the original iPod.
It may be possible, but
Yeah,
not practical for most. That was a high-end player
yeah, it was
at the
high-end.
time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because I remember I got my first iPod 2003. It was 10 gig, and I'm like, what am I going to do with 10 gig?
Yeah.
because you
you
were
had
still
like
coming from
400
your
meg of
old
music.
Yeah, you're coming from your old.
Was that the one with the hard drive in it?
Yeah, hard drive. Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. Mechanical hard drive. In fact, I still have your old iPad. I found it somewhere in a closet or a drawer.
No, that's yours.
Oh, I had one too.
Yeah, you have
Oh.
a classic. It's
Yeah.
30 gig.
It actually still. I plugged it in, charged up. It powers up.
yeah.
I haven't used it, but I'm like, wow, that thing still friggin' works after sitting in a drawer for all these years. You know, I don't think it works for long. I think the battery's trashed. but
Probably,
I think
yeah.
it spun the drive and shut off.
Yeah, but I think yours is 30 or 40 gig.
Oh yeah,
So
cool.
yeah, it's plenty of storage.
Maybe one day we'll try to. I assume you can't get batteries for these things anymore.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably $6 or something.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So it's a nice traveling down this little tour of history with you guys with MP3s. But
Yeah.
nowadays, I think people could do a lot better. So if you're still playing MP3s, you may want to move on. You know,
Well-
you can do better.
I don't think anybody's even storing stuff locally now anymore. You know,
Yeah.
so it's not really even a thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I know I haven't played an MP3.
but you still got that old iPod.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I know I haven't played an MP3 in a long
Yeah, so I guess
time.
the controversy's over, right? Doesn't matter at this point. You just
Well, storage size is really not a big problem anymore. So pretty much whatever format you could get, whatever you could stream, most of it's okay now. You don't see the constraints you used to where files needed to be teeny tiny. And so everybody was making everything just garbage quality.
Yeah.
For the most part, any format now is okay. MP3 is fine if it's a high bit rate.
And the pay for streaming like Tidal and Qbuzz and whatever like that, they're all pretty they're decent enough. You know,
Yeah.
Some people argue, oh, you know, I need better than that. I can't handle the streaming. But I think for the most part, those
Yeah, they're not the last word in fidelity.
if you get a
but they're pretty
decent
good.
streamer,
Yeah.
I mean, you got, you know, you're not streaming it on a $100 black box. You can get better streamers. So we should probably talk about that quickly. That, you know, I mean, obviously you could spend thousands of dollars too.
Yeah, maybe we'll have
20
an episode
grand
about
if you
those in the
want.
future.
But yeah, that's something to talk about in the future. But yeah, there are in the higher end of things, there's some really nice streamer slash DACs that, you know, even one we reviewed, like the Bar Talk.
Yeah.
And,
That's
you know,
pretty high end.
Yeah, 15 grand and up.
Yeah, you're probably
But,
not playing MP3s on that.
Yeah, probably not. You know, but I mean, that is, if you're worried about quality, I think those devices tend to be optimized.
Well, they're made for it. Yeah.
Even for streaming, they're made to sound good with it. You know. So anyway, enough of that topic for now. MP3s, bye bye. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching.